Welcome back to Icon Diary. I'm Peter Blackwood. I have painted an icon of Elizabeth Fry, and I didn't film it this time. Indeed, I painted this icon in one day on last Friday. As my daughter commented, I painted Fry on Friday. Haha. There are plenty of models to work from, but I chose a famous one, which is in the National Portrait Gallery in London, and also another more modern painting which I found on site, which was really helpful on the facial features, and also because in this portrait she is looking straight ahead, something that I wanted. I learned some stuff. I learned that setting the halo needs to be on the head and discount the headdress. I did the first halo centering the head, the whole of the headdress and head, and the halo came out all the wrong side, and I had to paint it out and do it again. I used a lot of titanium grey and unbleached titanium and titanium white, and that made up the clothing, the wonderful headgear, and as always the face and hands with yellow ochre, terra verte, Ercolano red, highlighted with white. And the old favourite friend, burnt umber, to help with the shading, and also a little bit of Mars black. But, as I always hope to do, kept to a limited palette and enjoyed a day of painting Elizabeth Fry. A short biography of Elizabeth Fry, 1780 to 1845, a renewer of society, celebrated by the Uniting Church in its calendar of other commemorations. The year was 1813. As Elizabeth entered the women's cell of the Newgate prison in England, she saw a child dead. Beside him were two women stripping the corpse of the clothing. The clothes were then placed on another child, who might have been 5 years of age. The experience prompted Elizabeth to speak to the prisoners from her own perspective of motherhood, and in so doing gradually brought about radical prison reform. And radical reform was needed. In Newgate, there were 300 women prisoners with their children. The prison was indescribably filthy. Prisoners were unclassified and unemployed. Favours and what money was available brought ample quantities of liquor into the women's prison. In those days, prisoners were treated as if they were less than human. Hundreds died of starvation and of disease caused by foul air and cramped quarters. And once, when a fire broke out in an Irish jail, 54 prisoners were left to perish. Men and women, murderers, those suffering from severe psychiatric disorders, debtors, pickpocketers, and children were thrown together in stinking underground cellars without light or bedding. Elizabeth Fry grew up in a Quaker home which was not ready for her determination, commitment and passion for the well-being of the prisoners of Newgate. Her father actively tried to dissuade her, but aided by her husband Joseph, she kept an open and frugal house from which she fulfilled her ministry. She arranged schools for the poor and the distribution of garments, medicine and food to the destitute, and all this in addition to the work of prison reform for which she is justly revered. In 1817, Elizabeth founded the Association for the Improvement of Female Prisons. The beneficial work that the association did soon became known right around the world. She travelled to many European countries in the cause of prison reform, and this reform included the prison ships that brought convicts to Australia. At her urging, the colony of New South Wales had to organise appropriate housing and work for the new arrivals. Her work did not stop with prison reform. In the notably severe winter of 1819-20, Elizabeth organised shelter and soup kitchens for the homeless in London and in Brighton. Aware that some occupations like the Coast Guard service could at times create idleness and boredom, she started a library service to relieve that problem. Some of Elizabeth's convictions are worthy of note even now, especially now. She protested against solitary confinement and the darkness of prison cells. Solitary confinement, she said, was too cruel even for the greatest crimes and sufficient to unhinge the mind. Elizabeth Fry died on the 12th of October 1845. In the words of one biographer, Elizabeth lit in the black hell of women's prisons in Europe a spark that was to grow into a floodlight of reform.